Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Borowick. I'm Seton Hall University's Interim Vice President for University Advancement. This Thursday, August 1st, will mark a new chapter in Seton Hall's 163-year history when we welcome Dr. Joseph E. Nair as our 21st president. President Nair joins us from Iona College in New Rochelle, New York, where he served as president for the past 8 years. As president, he guided Iona to higher heights, developing a new core curriculum and expanding the number of endowed professorships. The college reduced its tuition dependency, strengthened its financial health, and expanded its campus, building 2 new residence halls and a new school of business. A native of Beloit, Wisconsin, President Nair is a veteran of the United States Navy. He and his wife, Kelly, and their 4 children are some of the newest citizens of the Garden State, having just moved to Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce Seton Hall's 21st president, Dr. Joseph E. Nair.
Acting Governor Oliver, state and local government leaders, members of the community and guests, welcome to Seton Hall University. We are pleased that you chose our university as the place to sign this historic legislation. And we are honored that you recognize Seton Hall's efforts to make higher education more affordable and more accessible. For at the end of the day, we share a common goal, and that is to have students graduating focused on their futures rather than how to pay for their pasts. I know firsthand the importance of the work you are doing here today. I am a first-generation college graduate, and as Matt mentioned, my education was made possible in part with service in the U.S. Navy and while working full-time while attending 4 institutions. It's not always easy to navigate the many aspects of classes and credits and workload and commuting to and from campus, and that was years ago. The complexities faced by today's students are much greater. That's why this historic legislation to improve transparency, advocacy, and affordability will serve to lift lives and spirits for generations to come. Student success will always be our guiding light at Seton Hall University. I take up the privilege of leading this great Catholic university with deep gratitude and tremendous optimism, and I look forward to working with you in the days to come and all of you here today in the weeks and years ahead. One and all, on behalf of our 100,000 alumni, I'm pleased to say to you, welcome to Seton Hall University. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Seton Hall University. My name is Axel Esquivel, and I'm a rising senior here at Seton Hall University. Like most college students, if and where I went to college was primarily a family decision. I'm the oldest of 3 children and proud to say I'm a first-generation college student. My parents have instilled in me and my 2 younger sisters that education is the key to success. So in order to give me a chance at a college education, they made many sacrifices. For that reason, transparency and cost is of utmost importance for us and many other students alike. It is ever so important to understand that the true net cost for families when making a decision about pursuing a higher education and what those choices will mean after graduation. I have been fortunate enough to receive generous state support through New Jersey's tuition aid grant program. I am also blessed to be a Martin Luther King Scholar here at Seton Hall University, as I dedicate time and service to my community in an effort to contribute to social justice. Financial aid offers an opportunity to achieve what would otherwise be unavailable to a student like myself. I'd like to think I am making the very best use of the financial resources made available to me. I take it seriously that not only my family supports my education, but the state does as well. The TAG funding is a vote of confidence that has allowed me to thrive here at Seton Hall as a student in the School of Diplomacy and International Relations. I hope to someday be the U.S. ambassador to Italy. It is because of strong... Thank you. It is because of strong family support and much appreciated financial aid I'm able to dream so big. I am ever so grateful for the financial support and appreciate this opportunity to publicly thank those who have made such funding available. Because the bigger picture of financial aid is so important to me, I also serve on the Student Advisory Committee for New Jersey's Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. I have a voice in helping shape the future of state aid, and I also collaborate with other college students from around the state to discuss how important it is for families to understand the net costs of college and the differences between grants and loans, need-based and merit-based aid, and how to save early to minimize the burden of college debt. The Student Advisory Committee will dedicate the next year to encouraging the U.S. government to follow New Jersey's lead in making College Shopping Sheet a common resource for all families. You don't have to look too far within this room to see all the individuals who support college students and their families, one of which is our very own Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. The Lieutenant Governor's resume is rich with experience and leadership roles in providing services and protecting the rights of New Jersey families and students of all ages. Her commitment to higher education is evident through her career. Well before being sworn in as our state's second ever Lieutenant Governor, thank you to both the Lieutenant Governor and Governor Murphy, who have worked tirelessly to make college more affordable and accessible to all New Jersey students. I am honored to now welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver, to the podium.
Thank you so much, Axel, for the introduction and for sharing your own inspiring story. Governor Murphy and I are dedicated to improving opportunities for students like you and to achieve your goals and succeed in New Jersey. If our Secretary of Higher Education, Dr. Zakia Smith-Ellis, were with us today, she's in Washington, but she would share with you that we already know that post-secondary education is going to be a requirement for anyone who aspires to live a middle-class lifestyle in our state. It is estimated that 65% of the jobs that will be created in our economy going forward are going to require post-secondary education. I'm delighted to be at Seton Hall to sign two very important pieces of legislation, and I'd like to thank President Nairi for hosting us here this morning. We appreciate what a premier institution Seton Hall is, and that students choose to study here from all over the world. There is no doubt that if you look amongst the rank of those who are leaders in our state, those who are leading very important institutions, Seton Hall graduates are significantly represented. And everyone knows of the reputation nationally and internationally of the great Seton Hall Law School. So for those of us who are in Essex County, we are just so very pleased that Seton Hall continues to make the county of Essex in the state of New Jersey your home. We know that to build a stronger and fairer economy and lasting economic growth in our state, every resident needs to have access to support in pursuing the post-secondary education that is going to be so important. The actions that we are taking today continue our administration's ongoing commitment to making college more affordable. From our higher education plan that was released several months ago, we've established a comprehensive agenda. Every New Jerseyan, regardless of their life circumstance, will have the opportunity to obtain a high-quality credential that prepares them for life after college. I'm a baby boomer, and I came of age during what I call the tumultuous 60s. And when I think about my peers of another generation, affordability in aspiring to higher education was not something that we had to worry about. Public policy was committed to supporting students in this country, and it is our hope by the actions that we are taking in the state of New Jersey that we can contribute to a national conversation about access to higher education for all students, not just in New Jersey, but across the country. Through our college opportunity grant program that we've established, we will help thousands of students earn associate degrees, tuition free. And I can remember when I got out of high school, so many of my classmates went to the state of California. Why? Because they had access to this in the state of California decades ago. Our increased investment in TAG and EOF, which do so much to help disadvantaged students achieve their dreams, is so important. And I'm very pleased that Governor Murphy continues to make an investment in those two programs, along with the support of our state legislature. The first bill that I will sign into law today establishes important principles of financial transparency so that students know before they go to college. So often they and their families are unable to plan wisely and really determine what the cost of their education will be and the debt that they may have once they choose their educational institution. I've talked to way too many students from one end of the state to the other who end up with $100,000 in student debt, $80,000 in student debt. And we often lament, why are our real estate statistics lagging in the state? Well, it's because our millennial generation is so absorbed and committed to having to repay student debt, they're unable to make that first home purchase and start their families. So we also know that supporting access to higher education and the financing and helping people make better decisions is something that contributes to the economic growth of our state overall. In addition to serving as the Lieutenant Governor, it's my honor to serve as the Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, where one of my top priorities is housing. So I speak from experience when I say that it is crucial to require clear, consistent information that consumers need before entering into a major financial transaction. That's why I was also pleased to sign in Senator Cunningham's district some months back a financial literacy bill that will require all K-12 school districts to teach financial literacy to our students so that we just don't wait until it's time to make those financing decisions about higher education. One key requirement of this new law is that colleges use a model template to present this information so that students can compare prices on an apples-to-apple basis. This shopping sheet will show in a clear format both the total cost of college and the net cost that students and families have to pay or borrow on student loans after all the financial aid offered by the institution where they are considering enrolling. Once students finish college, they frequently, as I've made reference to, face the challenge of repaying those student loans. Student debt looms large. The concerns that students have as they begin their careers after college. And I recently read that student loan debt in this country is larger than the net credit card debt that the citizens in our country must bear. Students who have difficulty, and when they have difficulty repaying student loans, it not only harms their own personal finances, it also affects every one of us by creating a drag on our economy. The second law that we are enacting today will defend student borrowers with new, strong consumer protections against the harms that some national student loan servicers have caused. All too often, the lack of fair customer service from these companies has driven borrowers further into debt, delinquency, and default, instead of offering the help they need to stay on track and repay their loans. And we have learned that there is a better way to do this from the experience that we had with home foreclosure crises in this country. This new law will require these companies to register with the State Department of Banking and Insurance, where a new student loan ombudsman will monitor their activities and step in to defend students when their loan servicer isn't giving them a fair shake. Through both of these consumer protection laws, we will increase our support for New Jersey residents as they pursue post-secondary education. We are making it easier for new students to understand the true cost of college so they can make wise choices and minimize the amount of debt they take on in the first place. And once students start paying off their loans and interacting with loan servicers, we will make sure that the state has your back. We will certainly do that. I'd like to take a moment to thank the legislators that sponsored these bills. Senator Shirley Turner, Assemblywoman Lampert, Senator Cunningham, Assemblyman Sher, Assemblyman Mukherjee, and Senator Brown. And special thanks to Assembly Higher Education Chair Myla Jacey, a resident of the South Orange community, for her advocacy on these bills. Now it is my honor to introduce David Sokolow, Executive Director of Higher Education Assistance Authority, who has been instrumental in overseeing these bills all the way through to their passage. And I want to give a shout out to the Seton Hall Pirates. David Sokolow.
Thank you so much, Acting Governor Oliver. New Jersey students truly will benefit from better consumer information and protection, and I applaud Acting Governor Oliver for signing these two new laws today and all the legislators who sponsored and championed them. As a result, students who are entering college in New Jersey will be able to see more clearly the real costs that they'll have to pay, and those who are striving to repay student loan debt will get help in dealing with the student loan servicing companies working with them on their loans. Because students and families deserve to know up front what they'll pay for college, today we're taking a stand against confusing financial aid packages that make it difficult to understand the real cost, the real net cost. For several years, the United States Department of Education has recommended a model college financing worksheet, or shopping sheet, as a template for displaying this information. New Jersey's own Secretary of Higher Education, Zakiya Smith-Ellis, who regrets she can't be here today, led the development of this model when she was a federal official. And this format clearly tells each student the total cost of attending college, and then subtracts from that figure the grants and scholarship aid the student will receive. That's the money the student doesn't have to pay back. The resulting calculation is the net cost, the money the student will have to pull together from multiple sources to attend that institution. To ensure that students clearly understand the net cost, it's important not to include loans in this calculation. Loans are not awards. Loans, students' wages, and assistance from families are all possible sources of the money needed to pay the net cost, but they're not awards. Lumping loans together with grants can mislead some students by making that net cost seem lower than it actually is. And the shopping sheet model avoids that confusion by first calculating and displaying the true net cost, and only then below that showing options for student loans, students' earnings, and other family contributions and other sources. There's a really good example of that here, and it's on the easel over there that Seton Hall has put up of the shopping sheet they use here. Now, all colleges and universities in this state will inform their students by following this clear format, starting with the financial aid officers for financial aid offers for academic year 2020-2021 that will start being sent to students this coming fall and winter. And to reinforce this policy and best practices followed at Seton Hall and at other colleges and universities around this state, just last week, HESA's board of directors voted to propose amendments to our regulations requiring all New Jersey colleges and universities to provide all their prospective and returning students with a shopping sheet that clearly shows net cost. The second bill to be signed today will provide strong new consumer protections to help New Jersey's student loan borrowers get fair treatment from the companies that service their student loans. By licensing these student loan servicing companies, as several other states have done recently, we will be in a better position to help New Jersey residents. We will stop deceptive practices that cause, from servicers, that apply payments in ways that cause unnecessary late fees and harm borrowers' credit scores, that provide flawed information to student borrowers, that don't enroll borrowers in the loan forgiveness plans for which they qualify, or that fail to place borrowers in the repayment plans that are best designed to help them pay off their loans. The New Jersey Student Loan Ombudsman will also address borrowers' complaints or questions about student loans by monitoring the practices of these student loan servicers that work with New Jersey borrowers. The state will be able to spot patterns of concern and take action to help our people responsibly manage their student loan debt. In combination, these two bills build on our ongoing efforts to help students afford college, starting with the vision of the Higher Ed State Plan to the improved and expanded state financial aid, making efforts to make community college tuition-free for more students, and creating new and affordable repayment options for borrowers of the state's NJ-class loans. So whether it is before matriculation or after graduation, students can rest assured that New Jersey is on their side. It is now my honor to introduce the chairwoman of the Senate Higher Education Committee, Senator Sandra Cunningham.
Thank you. I think it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President, for inviting us to your wonderful university today. And of course, it is an honor to be with our acting governor today. You know, nothing can be happier in a household than their parent receiving an acceptance letter in the mail saying that their son or daughter has been accepted to college. Nothing is more exciting than that, nothing is more jovial than that, and nothing makes a parent feel better than that. Unfortunately, that joy, happiness does not last. It does not last because then it becomes time to sit down with paper and pen and to decide how we're going to pay for our young son or daughter to go to college. And that is where the problem comes in. There is so much misinformation available that it is almost impossible unless you are familiar with how the system works to figure out how much you can actually afford to pay. Not only how much can you afford to pay, but you still don't even realize that there are probably dollars available to help to support this. I was very happy to be a part of writing the legislation for the Ombudsman bill because I think it's important that someone helps to advocate for our parents. Many of our parents have not had a college experience themselves, Some English is not the first language. They need a little bit more help. So the opportunity came along to do something to help them. The ombudsman that we're hoping will service them, will be a way of helping them, to give them the information they need to help them make the best decision on what college their student can go to and how much they can expect to pay. We all want our young people to go to college, but we don't want them to go to college blindly. We want them to understand what the ramifications are for going to college and to provide assistance when we can. So it's an honor to be here today to help with this, to watch these two pieces of legislation being signed into law, because I know it will help so many parents and so many children to make the right decision about where they're going to college. So we want to keep that joy that they received when they received the acceptance letter. At the end, we want them to also be jumping for joy that their child is in college. Thank you. That's okay. No one told me, but my counterpart in the Assembly, Miley J.C.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Cunningham, or Sandy. I think the last time we were both here was when we were on a panel discussion here at Seton Hall, not in this beautiful building, but somewhere in the middle of campus, talking to students. That's something that she and I share. We love talking to students because students are our future. And I think everything pretty much has been said in terms of why this is so important. I want to say to our new president, I was born in Wisconsin as well. Madison, when my father was in graduate school, he was able to go to college on the GI Bill. And that's something, you know, the issue of paying for college is very real. I have 3 children who are out of college now, but now I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm looking at them thinking, oh my God, you know, how are we're going to try to help their parents, but it's not something that's realistic. And in this country, we can absolutely do better. We can do better if we use the resources that we have to support each generation coming up. When I became chair of the Assembly Higher Ed Committee, I committed to doing all that I could to enhance post-secondary education, college and career opportunities for our state students, reinvent senior year. This is something I've been talking about for a long time. I served on the Board of Education here in South Orange, Maplewood, where I am a resident, for 3 terms. And one of the things that came up repeatedly, especially once we had students serving, student representatives serving on our board, was the issue of seat time versus experience. And today is not the day to get into it, but I promise that this is something that I'm very focused on, and a number of us are, because we want our students, when they graduate from high school, to have a better sense of what the opportunities are out there in the world, right? I think that makes it easier to make decisions about where you're going to go to school, whether it's college or a 4-year college, a community college, to get a certificate, but some kind of skill so that you can go on with your life. I'm really proud to be here with Acting Governor Sheila Oliver because we served in the Assembly together. It's hard to think of her as the Lieutenant Governor because I know her as the Speaker of the Assembly, but that's okay because I know that her passion for education and her passion for housing, affordability and availability for all of our New Jersey residents is as strong as mine. The two go together, beginning in pre-K all the way through. All of the obstacles have been described. I'm not going to get into that. And I do want to say that until recently, even New Jersey students facing hardship received no help from HESA. Under the extraordinary leadership of Executive Director David Socolow, the legislature has changed that through the Repayment Assistance Program for New Jersey class loans and crafted a process for declaring those loans in default or rehabilitated. Galvanized by the commitment of Senator Cunningham, Assemblyman Sher, who has joined us, and all the other legislators that have been mentioned already, today we turn our attention to the more than $4.5 trillion federal student debt. New Jersey students alone owe almost $43 billion in loans for higher education. 90% of that debt is federal. This is a 126% increase from the amount owed in 2008. With this law, New Jersey will ensure that student loan servicers are regulated through strict oversight and that student borrowers understand the protections afforded to them by law. To quote an article that explains this transformational legislation, the premise is a simple one. The protections that borrowers have for other kinds of debt, as Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver mentioned, like mortgage or auto debt, should also be applied to student debt. And states that have a responsibility to ensure borrowers have these protections using their licensing authority. Connecticut was the first state to pass the Borrower's Bill of Rights in 2015. New Jersey now joins a small but illustrious and we hope growing band of states, making sure that we protect the students that we have promised to serve. Thank you very much, and I believe I'm going to introduce Assemblyman Gary Sher, who is one of the driving forces behind this legislation.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Madam Lieutenant Governor, Senator, Assemblywoman, it's such a pleasure and honor to be with all of you here today. The Assemblywoman mentioned how difficult it is to differentiate Lieutenant Governor Oliver from Speaker Oliver and from Assemblywoman Oliver. Assemblywoman, if you think it's rough on you, I'm looking at Commissioner Caridi, who I had the pleasure to work together on the 36th Legislative District, and Commissioner, we still benefit from your guidance and all that you did while in the Assembly. I'm sure so many of these points were gone over with everyone already. In terms of the bill, and your very presence underscores how important this bill is. In a 2018 policy brief on student debt in New Jersey, the Center of Responsible Lending reported that servicers consistently fail to put borrowers into income-based payment plans for which they qualify, misapply payments, report incorrect information to credit bureaus, and place borrowers in forbearance, or plans that cause their debt to balloon, which can lead to delinquencies and defaults. We all recognize what's at stake here. We all recognize what an easy solution, David, this really has been. It's easy on the one hand, arduous on the other. Things oftentimes don't go as quickly in Trenton as one would hope they would be. But I will admit to you that last week I had the privilege to join the Lieutenant Governor, a number of our senators and assembly members, also here in Essex County, And Lieutenant Governor, it's getting to be a thing with Essex if it wasn't before. It certainly is. It certainly is now, and it's a great pleasure and honor to be in Essex County and to be at this fine university. We've all identified the problem, and the solution is relatively easy, and that is to provide someone, some office with whom people can communicate to ensure that they're getting the best for themselves and ultimately the best for the society, for this county, for this state. It's a privilege to have joined with Chairwoman Jacey. Her leadership and direction in the Higher Education Committee is renowned to all of you, and some of us, including myself, had the privilege to serve with her under her direction and tutelage, and it really has been a great, great honor. I have the great pleasure to represent the 36th Legislative District, which includes the city of Passaic and parts of Bergen County. And I will tell you on a personal level how many times we've been contacted by students who have had difficulty with their loans. It's difficult enough to be a student. It's difficult enough to traverse all that needs to be done to graduate well in one's class and perhaps to go on into even higher education or into profession, whatever it is. To compound that difficulty, of course, with misinformation makes it even worse, frustrating, and frankly devastating. The amount of money owed by children and young students, I should say, in this state is astronomical, and they deserve better. And it is a privilege to be able to join with the chairwoman, to join with my friend and extraordinary advocate, Senator Cunningham. Senator, all that you do is renowned to all of us, and we're really so very, very appreciative. And of course, with the Lieutenant Governor on behalf of herself and on behalf of the Governor as well. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to walk the walk. And indeed, we're so privileged that on this matter and on so many others, the administration has taken these tremendous steps forwards. So my thanks, my appreciation for being able to join with you. My apologies for being a little bit late at a time when we're talking about providing correct information to students so that they get things right. My office had this pledged at 11 o'clock and not at 10. So much for consistency. Hopefully your leadership in other areas will be better than mine. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much.
And thank you so much. My name is Seth Frotman. I'm the Executive Director of the Student Borrower Protection Center and formerly the Student Loan Ombudsman at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And it is truly my honor to be here today back in my home state. I grew up just down the road from here, and I am deeply proud of my New Jersey roots. Growing up here, working here, I could tell you one thing with absolute certainty. In New Jersey, we take care of our own. And that is what today is about. Over the past year and a half, state leaders and advocates have worked tirelessly to forge a different vision for New Jersey, a different future than the one being contemplated 220 miles south of here in Washington. Choosing community over division, investing in people instead of special interests, and committing to a shared economic future instead of failed theories. So many in this room have fought to ensure that the 1 million New Jersey student loan borrowers be part of that vision, part of that future. Because these borrowers are all of us, the folks next door or down the street, struggling to buy a home, save for retirement, or even start a family because of the weight of their student debt. And that is why I am proud to be at this bill signing, where this future is becoming a reality, where protecting student loan borrowers is front and center. Because for too long, 1 million people in New Jersey have been drowning in a broken student loan system. For too long, student loan borrowers have been cheated and sidelined by shady business practices that would make the payday industry blush. For too long, borrowers have struggled as Betsy DeVos and the rest of the Trump administration have not only walked away from this fight, but armed the other side. But through the tireless efforts of Senator Cunningham, Assemblyman Sher, Governor Murphy, Acting Governor Oliver, Assemblywoman Jacey, New Jersey Citizen Action, and so many others, today starts a new chapter for student loan borrowers. When student loan companies try to cheat them, New Jersey has their back. When they are trying to pay back the $43 billion in student debt they collectively owe, New Jersey is looking out for them. When student loan companies mistreat them, New Jersey will hold them to account. Just over a month ago, I was in Trenton testifying before New Jersey lawmakers. As the former top federal regulator of the student loan market, I warned that the federal government was not going to ride to the rescue. There was no cavalry on the horizon. But today, New Jersey has officially taken up the fight, because in New Jersey, we take care of our own. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seth, and everyone, all of our speakers. And now I think it's time to sign this bill.
Excuse me.
Thank you. And my good friend Sher, we have to stop meeting like this. And to our David Sutherland, thank you so much. Thank you.
And up front.
Yeah.
Here's Seth. Okay. Yes, Seth. Right. And Commissioner Curry, thank you so much. We're going to depend on the Department of Banking and Insurance. Where is Diana? Yes. She is such an advocate, and I so admire her. She's a millennial. She serves on the board of trustees of Rutgers, and she is a great voice for young students in the state. And is that yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, we have signed these bills, and it is now law. And I hope that going forward, we're able to really help students who are struggling to address the issues of financing higher education. And I look forward to New Jersey continuing to support our students in the state and our higher education institutions so that we can create something that Governor Murphy and I are totally committed to, creating a stronger and fairer economy for all families in the state.